We'll keep everyone on mute just to try to eliminate background noise and echo. However, if you do have a question, feel free to use the questions box, and we will be checking in on that frequently. It doesn't look like James Brooks is on, so at least that question box won't get filled with junk. So, good to move on. If you've ever noticed, James is the one who's always throwing all the crazy questions into the box, just to throw us off. So we will go. So everyone should be able to see the screen. Ryan, if you could move us to the next slide, I'll just have you click along to make it easy on you for the transition. There we are. Okay, so a few things. I'm just going to put this slide up so people can absorb it, take in the information. But the few things we're going to cover off today, what you're seeing right now, so the top results so far for May, and as always, some pretty impressive and exciting numbers on the board here. We'll dive into, well, we'll just discuss quickly Design Associate Training that's coming up. So if you're planning on sending someone, just a reminder of Design Associate Training. Talk briefly, we'll do it on each and every call, so we'll be relatively brief on it, on the Summer Sales Summit. So that is getting closer and closer. And last but not least, Ryan will take us through the marketing update / reporting. So he'll walk us through that at again, the main portion of this call. So just taking a look at the top results for our franchisees in May. Again, some pretty exciting numbers on the list. Really strong proposal writing numbers for the group listed here. You'll see a $163,000 landed so far in May for the Keatings, who are tearing it up this year. So that's really strong, and a bunch of people over $100K landed so far for May. And then installs are usually a bit lighter than this at this day of the month. So those are some pretty great numbers. Again, Sheila O'Donoghue up here at the top of the list. Keith Thomas closely behind. So some really good results so far for the month, particularly for this group on the leaderboard. Let's soak it in for one more minute here, and then we will click off. All right, Ryan, you want to move to the next one? So put this slide up again. It was in our last call, but just a quick kind of last-ditch reminder on our Design Associate Training class coming up in Atlanta, June 16th through the 20th. So we've had some really strong Design Associate classes coming through over the last year. They're growing in count, so the classes are getting bigger and bigger, which is great. And we're getting some pretty stellar results. So from our December class, which is our most recent class that's been out in the field for more than a handful of weeks, Katie and Susan had some stellar numbers in their first 3 months of business. On a goal of 60K, they hit those numbers. So I'd like to say that's because of our excellent facilitation, but that's a strong performance by those two individuals. So if you intend to have a DA attend training in Atlanta, June 16th through the 20th, please let your operations person know, and if you can, copy me, and the agenda is now complete, so I can start to fill you in on the agenda and prep. So it'll be a really strong week of training, and our first training class that'll have the involvement of our new merchandiser. So that'll be good. So copy your operations person, copy me, let us know that you have someone you'd like to have attend or you'd like to save a seat for, and we'll get you all the prep that's involved in getting them to training prepared. So we'll move on to the next one. So just another reminder of our Summer Sales Summit. We have a good agenda that's coming together. There will be registration coming out very quickly. As always, we try to balance the two sessions so we can get the most involvement. So we have Atlanta, July 9th and 10th, which would be arrive on the 8th anytime and depart late evening on the 10th, and August 6th and 7th in Denver. So we tried to make them a good east-west location, and fair markets that have pretty reasonable costs to holding events in July and August. So, and as a key note for this session, anyone who writes residential proposals, this session is really tailored to those individuals. So whether it's a franchise owner writing residential proposals or a design associate, this session is really geared toward proposal writers. So Ryan, can you click to the next one? Yes, sir.
It's going to be a great chance to meet Neil Daly as well.
Neil Daly, correct, our merchandiser.
Yep, so come on in.
And to hang out with your beloved ops team.
That's the most important.
Okay, Ryan, can you go to the next one? Okay, so just briefly, we saw the slide on our last call, but the purpose of the event is really to do what we accomplished the last couple sessions, which is to improve our sales effectiveness in the areas of proposals per salesperson per week. That's still, as we talked about on our last call, realistically the biggest restrainer on our business and in our business is the number of proposals we can effectively write per proposal writer in the business, but as well as gross margin and close rate on the proposals we do write. So this session is meant to drive both of those areas and to get good results in both of those areas. So the outcome is that participants deliver the full Floor Coverings International brand experience, the proposal and inspiring it in the home, which is now the norm, and the compliant mobile showroom to the home. So what is it? What's in it? How do I best use it? Again, that'll be the involvement of Neil and merchandising. And then participants are able to improve their proposal number per week by 2, and that it will drive tremendous results for design associates and franchise owners in the field. So, and then we're looking for a combined change in really just effectiveness between gross margin and close rate. We're looking for a combined change of 5 total points in a positive direction, obviously, so an increase. So that's really the outcome or the outcomes of this session. It'll be exciting, good time to get together as a group and socialize and learn from your peers, and those after-hours conversations are always great. Session content's designed to hit these outcomes. Next one, Ryan. So just a rough agenda, and this is still really coming together with the support of the ops team and the Franchise Advisory Council. So we'll do a quick corporate update. We'll have a panel of the pros, so your peers who are having some really strong success in some key areas will be there to pick their brain and learn from them. Couple of the main areas of focus. Now that we are presenting proposals in the home and we are able to ballpark, now we're going to be talking about product presentation, how to really present that product in a way that's meaningful to the customer, and then price conditioning. So if you've ever been through a sales process that involved price conditioning, it has a pretty great ability to move a customer toward a realistic price point if you do it really well. So we'll be focusing in on those 2 areas. We'll focus on maximizing your margin. Neil Daly, our new merchandising expert, will be presenting some of his learning to date and key takeaways for our organization. And then we'll have a social and recognition event. So that's the day 1 agenda. Again, we arrived the night before. It starts first thing in the morning of day 1. Brian, can you go to the next slide? And then plan for day 2. So there's been a lot of work led by Marianne and Edward Lehman around customer interviews, deep value customer interviews. So really just trying to get a gauge on, so what are these customers really telling us in our Net Promoter feedback? Let's talk to some of those customers live. And we'll do that at the session. We'll be speaking with some of our customers just to find out, what do they have to say? How did they feel? What's important to them? And then we'll have two paths for the day. So franchise owners who are in the role of sales managers, so they're leading a team of design associates or project coordinators, will continue to go deeper into the skill of goal setting and review. And then path 2, which is open to all attendees, it's a sales competition. Again, like we've done in previous years, putting the specific skills we focused on the day prior into action, so it's committed to memory by the time you get home. And the next one, Ryan. The third quarter sales competition. So coming out of the summer summits, those who attend and participate in the sales competition part of the summit will have the opportunity to compete against their peers for some great prizes that will be announced at the summit. So prizes will be given for those who see the greatest increase in proposals written and the greatest increase in effectiveness ratio, which we can explain more going forward. So good prizes, good competition. Generally, when there's a competition, performance picks up overall, and people see some really good results. Good. Next slide. And as we're clicking over to the next slide, I'm just going to check to see if there are any questions. No. So we are good. So as a recap, please get your design associates signed up for training. Watch out for the registration for the Summer Sales Summit, and if you can get that on your calendars for the summer for you and your team. And if you have any questions on either of those, just reach out to your operations person. So I'm going to turn it back over to Ryan. Ryan, it's all yours.
Okay. So what I wanted to talk with the group about is the marketing review process. So as we discussed pretty heavily at convention, data is going to be the driver of our marketing campaigns going forward. And we've been capturing a whole heck of a lot of data, which is fantastic, but obviously if you don't turn data into actionable information and you don't take action on that data, it's kind of a worthless exercise. So towards that end, we're going through a pretty structured marketing review process after the first 90 days of the M2M engagement with our network. I'm going to walk through the highlights of how that's going to work. So what we're going to cover off, we're going to talk a little bit about the first 90 days that we've had with M2M. We're really calling it the first 90 days because by and large, most folks didn't really get into the campaign and have all their stuff transferred over until roughly February 1st. Some folks a little later, some folks a little earlier, but by and large as a network, we sort of launched our full-scale engagement with M2M at the local level on or about February 1st. So we'll talk a little bit about how those first 90 days have looked. We'll talk in depth about the formal review process that we are encouraging every franchisee to get involved with that's engaged with M2M. We'll talk about some dates and some next steps to get this all done. And then we're going to cover off just a quick housekeeper item that doesn't really fit in with this particular agenda, but it's time sensitive, so I will cover that off at the end. So I'm not going to delve real deeply into the whole strategic piece today. I want to really focus on just the review process itself. But just a quick review of why we engaged with M2M at the level that we've created this relationship. Needless to say, it's been a whole heck of a lot of work behind the scenes, a whole heck of a lot of adaptation and change at the franchisee level. So the obvious question there is, why would you go through all of this effort and energy to move everything over into a centrally managed marketing program? The reasons are pretty simple. The first one is, and the most important, is we collectively, you out in the field, us corporately, we all share and own a collective problem, and that's generating qualified leads in your local market. It's not solely our responsibility corporately. It's not solely your responsibility at the local level. It's something we all are working collectively to try to accomplish. And towards that end, we realized on our end that, hey, we really need a partner in this process to help us down this path. Some of the key components to the partnership that we were looking for was the ability for this partner to increase adoption and increase budget utilization. So one of the fantastic things that has come out of the last 4 years really in our network is this far more robust marketing plan than we had 4 or 5 years ago. Back 4 or 5 years ago, we had kind of a couple of major tactics, and then we might be playing around with something else, testing something else. We didn't really have a robust and integrated marketing program across all the different buckets. When we launched those programs, needless to say, it created a whole heck of a lot more lead flow. It created a whole heck of a lot better ROI, but it also created a level of complexity that we needed help with. And what we typically found was, because we had so many different marketing vendors that were working with the individual franchisees, there were so many different budgetary items to follow up on. It was really hard for us to set a marketing budget with you and then make sure that that marketing budget was getting utilized every month. Not even to look yet at utilizing it in the most effective and smart way possible, just making sure that that marketing budget is getting spent. If we sat down and said, let's spend $500 a month at HomeAdvisor, how can we be sure that we could actually do that? In some markets, we could spend $250 a month, and that's all we can spend. In other markets, realistically, that $500 should be $750 a month, because the lead flow is there and your business plan calls for the extra leads and proposals. So the first thing that we looked for in a partner was the ability to increase adoption and budget utilization. And it really kind of goes part and parcel with my second my third bullet point here, and that's to simplify the complex. We knew that if we had, as we did before, 13 different marketing vendors that you were working with and trying to follow up with, and all the different reporting and all the different invoicing, it became very, very easy for your marketing programs to get disjointed, and for the adoption to fall off, and for the budget utilization to fall off. So our goal, obviously, with bringing the M2M component into the marketing program was to have one single source of accountability for invoicing, for reporting, for managing your individual programs directly with the vendors, and then also this last bullet, which is optimizing, taking your programs and trying to get smarter and smarter about how we spend the money at the local level, both at the macro scope across everybody and at the microscope across your individual business. So this was what we were trying to accomplish. And frankly, as we'll talk about here in a second, we've really made some great headway on the top three here. Leads are up, proposals are up, so we're moving in the right direction there, which is great. Over 75% of the franchisees have engaged now with M2M. So the big upside from all of our perspective on that is we're able to now collect a lot more data every month than we've ever been able to collect before. We have roughly 75% of the network's marketing spend going through one single portal, being tracked 6 ways to Sunday, and individual vendor relationships being managed for again, over 75% of the network. And that number is growing, so we're heading towards a more like an 80 or 85% adoption rate, which in a franchise network, as we look across just about everything that we do collectively as a network, to have 75 to 80% of the network engaged in one single pursuit is, and doing it the same way, is a big win for all of us. So we're able to now collect a whole heck of a lot more data. The majority of the franchisees have actually started working pretty regularly with M2M to optimize their campaigns, having regular conversations, whether it's on an every month basis or on an ad hoc basis. We'll talk more about how that relationship can get even deeper here after this review process is over. And all the franchisees have benefited from evaluation of the different programs and efficiencies that we've gained by having all this data. I won't go into all the ways in which we've been able to improve performance, but I can tell you that, again, having all that data at our fingertips, being able to quickly manage any performance gaps that are existing, and also looking creatively at how to better solve even issues as simple as making sure that your home advisor budget is getting you the most leads you can possibly generate in that market, if that's what your business plan calls for. That sort of stuff has been a big step forward for us as a network across what is really a very short 90 days. So let's talk about the 90-day review process. At convention, we talked in some pretty good depth about the fact that we needed at least 90 days worth of data collection about, in general, the entire network and your local market in order for us to start having really actionable sort of next step type stuff that we could do for your local marketing campaigns. So 90 days is now here for many of the franchisees that are engaged in the M2M program. The 90-day period that we're looking at is February through April. After this first 90-day report comes out to you, every reporting cycle thereafter is going to be on a quarterly cycle. So this is kind of an oddball 90-day period, but we'll move to the standard quarterly reporting here after this particular report comes out. So February through April, just a quick note, if you haven't been engaged in the program since February, you'll be included in the next round of reporting. That's not to say you can't engage in some of this stuff, but as it relates to actually putting together the full report for you, that will come after your first 90 days. This process, again, is going to be relatively structured, and there'll be a role for you to play if you're interested in playing it, and there'll be obviously a whole lot of heavy lifting on the part of M2M and myself. The basics of the review process are going to be a 90-day bucket level report card, and that report card, which I'm going to show you in just a second, kind of goes through all the key metrics by bucket, and it uses your relative placement in the network or in the engaged group of franchisees, and it comes up with a grade for each bucket for you. Now, you see these grades, understand the grades have a shared accountability. They're not designed to say, you know, you've got a C in the Be Found bucket, so shame on you. In some cases, if you've got a C in the Be Found bucket, we may look at that and say, you know what, maybe shame on one of our vendors, or shame on us, you know, we need to fix your program. But the idea behind the report card is to give you a quick visual glance at how you're doing by bucket comparatively to the rest of the network. From there, what we'll be putting together for you is using this 90-day bucket level report card, and then a whole bunch of more in-depth data, your cost per lead and proposal by tactic, percentage of your budget that's being spent on each tactic, feedback from each of the vendors on how the tactic can either be improved or maximized in your market. Network-wide data that's showing us, hey, we need to increase or decrease budget based on these different factors. We're going to put together for you a customized action plan that basically it's a real simple setup. It's going to walk you through what should you continue to do. So, these 4 tactics are working great or working to standard. Continue those at the exact same budget level. What you do more of. So these 2 tactics, we can actually spend a little more with Contractor Marketing Pros or Home Advisor, and you're getting good results through them, so let's increase your budget. What you do decrease and or stop. So, if you're looking at, if we're 90 days in and a tactic is simply not working, part of the commitment we made at convention was we're going to keep an eye on that, and if we have enough data to show us that the tactic's not working, and we've tried to fix it, we've tried to move dollars around and make it more effective, we're going to tell you, let's move those dollars out of that tactic and over to something else. And then we're also going to have a section where we say if there's anything that we think you should try. And the try section is not stuff that's, the standard, we know how it works type campaigns like the Contractor Marketing Pros and Home Advisors of the world. It's here's a couple of things that we don't exactly know how they're going to work necessarily, but they're opportunities for you to consider. This whole action plan will come out to you along with your 90-day bucket level report card. And then from there, you're going to schedule an individual call to review the changes that we're recommending to your marketing program. Or you can look at the 90-day bucket level report card, and you can look at the expectations for changes, and you can actually just say, you know what, all that looks good. If I'm on my plan and all you're really asking me to do is move a few dollars from here to there, I may or may not engage in the phone call. We'd love you to, because there's, I think there's value in sitting down and talking with the folks at M2M. But you don't necessarily need to engage in the individual phone calls, but it's certainly an opportunity for you to review your bucket level report card, review your customized action plan, and also review any of the behind-the-scenes data that we don't include in this report. We'll have access to all of that. So if you wanted to say, out of curiosity, how is this tactic performing, we'll have that level of data. All right, so this is the kind of flow, the 90-day bucket level report card, the customized action plan, then a phone call to review. This is what your 90-day report card will look like. This is just 2 samples, so these are in essence the same thing, just a couple of different ways of looking at it. The first and most important thing that we will be focused on, and I suspect you guys will be focused on when you receive these, is up here in the right-hand column or right-hand corner. It says leads and proposals for, again, that February through April time frame. And whether you're on goal or you're, in the case of the second example here, whether you're off goal, that's going to be a big determining factor for us in what type of changes we recommend. If you're on goal and your grades are relatively good, we're going to have a lot more stuff that we're continuing than stuff that we're changing. If you're off goal, and let's say you're doing, you're investing in some of the tactics that are a little bit longer term, the brand building type tactics, potentially some of the mailing tactics and that sort of thing. If you're off goal and there's an opportunity to move some of those dollars over to more ready lead flow from the Be Found bucket, we're going to probably recommend that you do that. And we're going to continue to do that for the next, call it 90 days, until we get ourselves back on your business plan, and then we have the flexibility again to invest in the longer term customers. So you'll see in the upper right-hand corner here where you stand versus your goal. You'll see by bucket a grade on your spend. So what that looks at is just, and again, it may be that your business plan or your business in general calls for a lower spend in a particular bucket. You'll see a lower grade in that column, and that may be okay again, based on your business plan. But it'll be an area for us to consider if we're underspending in a particular tactic as compared to the network, or a particular bucket as compared to the network. We'll also look at your lead generation in a particular bucket versus the network. You know, are you one of the markets that can generate a whole heck of a lot of BeFound leads, or are you not? Are you generating a whole heck of a lot of Connect leads, or are you you know, more of a paid-for marketed business? We'll also look at your cost per lead and cost per proposal against the network, and your top lead sources and the percentages of your lead sources versus the network. And then we'll also look at your slippage versus the network, your budget utilization versus the network down here on the bottom, which just tells us if we're supposed to spend, you know, $5,000 a month, are you spending $4,800, or are you spending $2,800 or $3,800? Again, that's going to have a big impact on your business plan. If you're on your lead goal and your utilization is low or is a little lower than 100%, that might not be a problem, right? Maybe a couple more dollars in your pocket for profit. If you're under your lead goal or your proposal goal and your budget utilization is not at 100%, that's one of the first areas we're going to look at to drive your performance. Your uncategorized leads versus the network, and your lead allocation versus the network. So this will be, again, a quick snapshot. There's going to be a good percentage of you who are going to scan through this. Everything is going to look okay, and you're going to move on. There's going to be another percentage of you who are off your lead goal and off your proposal targets that this is going to bear a lot more discussion. So with this as one of the backdrops, and then again a whole bunch of other data that I won't bore you with, our next step is to put together your go-forward plan or your recommendations. And I'll go ahead and pull up what that will typically look like here. If I can. Oops. So this is a very simple simple thing. You'll also have some notes and some sort of editorializations about what we're expecting to do here. In many or most cases, the first thing what we're going to try to do, if you're off your lead plan, is we're going to try to keep your monthly budget that we set out to spend at its current level. So in many or most cases, we are not going to say, you're off your lead plan, so let's spend another $1,000 a month. There will be scenarios where that just might make sense. If we're underestimating how much it's costing to generate leads in your market and you're underspending, we may have to sit down and have a conversation about that. But for the most part, what we're looking to do here is take your monthly budget and reallocate it across different tactics based on the 90-day performance of the tactics in each bucket. So this would be an example. What are we going to continue in this example? And this is a pretty simplistic example so that we don't have to walk through a million different tactics. But what are we going to continue? We're going to continue pay-per-click because it's getting a good result. Angie's List will continue. SEO will continue. We're going to do more Home Advisor, and we're going to do more CMP. So we'll see your current budget's $400 and $500 respectively for those two tactics. We're going to move those budgets up. What are we going to stop in order to pay for the increase in budget here? we're going to stop, let's say, a couple of mailing programs and maybe a magazine program that you're doing locally. And then what do we want to try? Well, we've got a Groupon campaign that showed some real promise, and we've got a couple of other things that we think might be worthwhile to try in your marketplace. We don't have data yet that says we should definitely do it, but it's worth having a discussion about potentially trying in your market. Wrong one. There we go. So this is the plan as it's laid out for you. And in many cases, the suggestions or the recommendations are going to be pretty straightforward, and you'll be able to get through them very quickly in your review call. But in order to keep us structured in how we walk through this with you, and in order to make the most of your time and to respect the time of the folks over at M2M, the review calls are going to have a pretty specific framework to them as well. Section 1 will be focused on just reviewing the numbers, reviewing your scorecard, reviewing your report card, reviewing what your results have looked like, and getting you to getting a shared understanding of what the numbers are telling us. Section 2 will be going through the recommendations, so explaining here's what we'd like to do here, here's how we think if we're recommending an increase in your Home Advisor budget, here's how we think we can get that money spent. It's adding another service to your service list. It's adding there's 5 zip codes that you own that you're not marketing to. Those sorts of conversations. Now, it will be a two-way conversation, so if there's, if you have thoughts and ideas around what we're doing there, it's certainly on side to engage. But the second section is all about reviewing those recommendations. The third section is all about locking in the plan. And the goal is that you leave this call with a simple set of marching orders for M2M to go out and execute for you. Again, to me, where the real power of this whole process comes in is if we were sitting down and you had gone 90 days in a whole bunch of different marketing tactics with all these different accounts. You had Home Advisor, you had Contractor Marketing Pros, etc. First off, it would be a whole heck of a lot of work for either you or for us to go out and try to get all the data that we need on all your campaigns to have the conversation at this level. Then from there, if we said, hey, here are the 8 different recommendations, your next steps would be calling the Home Advisor folks and following up and making sure that they added those 3 zip codes to your market, and calling Contractor Marketing Pros or shooting them an email. In essence, the goal is you're able to just tell Eric at M2M, hey, I agree with the recommendations. Let's go ahead and enact that, and he goes to work and gets it all done on your behalf. Once you've locked in the plan, then is it time for some housekeepers. So if you have some of those issues that you want to discuss, and they can be M2M specific issues, I have a question about my bill, or they can also be just, and as we've had a few times just recently, my SEO program, I have some questions about it. And the folks at M2M will engage with the vendors to get you the answers that they need. All right, so this is the review meeting process. Very simple, and hopefully at the end of the meeting, you walk away with a locked-in plan that you don't have to worry about executing, and you've had any of your questions answered about any of the individual tactics. All right, so that's the process. If the expected time frame here is the reports will start to come out on Friday this week. They may spill over a little bit into Tuesday. We're having to do, again, a pretty in-depth process here. There's obviously a whole heck of a lot of automation, but there's also some real manual components of just sitting around a table going franchisee by franchisee, marketing plan by marketing plan, and putting together our recommendations. So I suspect that we will have them out across Friday and Tuesday with a goal of really trying to get them out, the bulk of them out on Friday. From there, it will be up to you to engage with the folks at M2M, Eric Smith in particular, and get your meeting set up. Our intention is 2 weeks after the reports go out, if we've made changes or made recommendations and we haven't heard anything back from you, and our recommendations don't include anything where we're increasing your budget, we're not increasing your overall spend. Our intention is in those 2 weeks, if we haven't heard from you, we're going to go ahead and execute on it, because the original plan as we laid out with M2M was that this was an actively managed program, and that those sorts of changes to your program were completely on side. But we'd love to get, for those of you who haven't had a chance to sit down and talk about your marketing campaign yet with Eric, it's certainly encouraged, and it'll be a good thing to talk about, and then to potentially set up a more regular discussion around if you'd like to. All right, so that's the review process. I haven't seen any questions come through, so I will keep soldiering forward, but if you do have any, you can always throw them in the box, and I will circle back around and pick them up. Let's cover off the one housekeeper here, and this one's an important one, and it's time sensitive. For those of you who have been in a momentum group that I've spoken to, or if you remember from convention, one of the real pushes that we've been putting on for the first part of the year was around review generation on third-party websites. So that's your Google+, Super Pages, all the places where customers can go and place a review on your behalf. And those reviews have a tremendous amount of power in the web marketing world. They have power on the front end because they are linked to search engine optimization, and they will drive your search engine placement over time. So they have power from a lead gen standpoint. They also, as you guys know, have a ton of power in the back end of the process and conversion, right? We've all done it. You go start looking for a flooring company or a home improvement company of some sort, and you engage with them a little bit. And for me, I do it before I even engage. But if you get an estimate from a company, you're going to scour the web to make sure, if you're spending $4,000 with somebody, that the reviews are positive out there. So we all know the value of generating good reviews on third-party websites. We also all know that it's a challenge. This little graph here shows our review activity from basically 12 months ago, or across the last 12 months. We literally were sitting as a network with, an 80+% of our customers who come through the process saying that they're promoters. We literally, as a network, had a handful of reviews out there, just because we weren't actively trying to generate them. And not only do we have a handful of reviews, if you can believe this, we were about 50-50 positive and negative. We had, for every good review we had somebody that had the, stay away from this company, they're going to burn your house down sort of review. So taking an active effort over the last few months, we have significantly impacted our review activity out there, our positive review activity, as you can kind of see on this graph. As you guys know, or if you don't know, here's a real quick primer on it. Every time a customer that comes through and is a completed job, they fill out the Net Promoter Score program, and they send in a positive review, an 8, 9, or 10. They are we automate an email out on your behalf, and I'm going to show you what that looks like here in a second, that invites them to include the comment that they made in a review on one of the most valuable websites that, or one of a series of the most valuable websites. So that would be Google, Superpages, etc. We've been doing this now since beginning of the year, and again, we've been really driving a pretty solid result, but it feels to me like there's a lot bigger opportunity than we're actually capturing. You guys, again, are doing a fantastic job for your customers. It is certainly not too much for us to expect that that those customers, if they're given the instructions, or we explain how important it is to us, to expect that they'd be more than willing to pop on a review site and give us a good review. So with all that said, what's happening over the next few days is you guys are going to get an email from a company called WebPunch. Kind of a silly name, but it's the one they chose, and they're a good service. This company, WebPunch, is going to send you 2 emails, one of which walks you through a plan for them to reach out to some of your customers. The second of which is a sample of the email that goes out to your customers that are deemed 8, 9s, or 10s in the Net Promoter Score program. So I'll show you what an example of that looks like. Let's see here. Get over here somewhere. There we go. So the first email you're going to get will look like this, and you don't need to read all this, but basically you're going to, on Sunday the 25th of May, which is just a few days from now, we're going to do our next push out of review requests to those customers that, again, opted in as 8, 9, or 10 on the Net Promoter Score. With this email that they send out to you, and it's going to come from Ginger at WebPunch, they're going to send you, first off, the customers that are going to be included in your May 25th emailing. And it's not going to be necessarily a huge number. In fact, it won't be a huge number. It may even be a 1 or 2, but or in some cases it may be 0 if you haven't had a promoter come through. But these are the customers that are going to receive this email. The other thing that will be included in this this email that comes out to you is a phone script that you use, if you so desire, to call these customers. And you have to read through it. There's some very specific verbiage. You don't obviously have to say everything word for word, but there's some very specific verbiage. We offer a $10 Starbucks gift card for the sake of to all these customers. There's some really specific verbiage about how we have to offer that. We're offering it as a gift, and we're asking them to fill out a review. We're not saying fill out a review and then you get a gift card, because that violates Google's terms of service, and it can get us in trouble with some other folks. So it's asking the customer, letting the customer know that we're going to be sending them the opportunity to get a $10 Starbucks gift card, and we're also asking them, if they could, to, when they receive this email, if they could read through it and choose one of the links to post a review from. If you're asking the customer, if you're on the phone with them, certainly your Google Plus page is going to be the most high value target. However, it's going to require them to sign up for a Google account. So if they don't already have a Gmail account or some other YouTube account or something like that, they're going to have to sign up for a Google account. If they're a little less tech savvy, send them right to the Super Pages link. That's a very easy one for them to click on. They don't need to register for an account, and they can place their review for you. When they receive this email, again, the comments that they made on the Net Promoter Score survey are going to be right here, so they can copy and paste them. So pretty simple, but asking the customers, would you please go out and give a review is going to be very valuable for us. The other thing that you can do is you'll receive this email from Ginger at WebPunch. If you have other customers, maybe they never filled out the Net Promoter Score survey, or maybe they whatever the case may be, but you know you have a good relationship with them and you'd like for them to get this email, you can forward to her a listing of those customers with the name and email address, and she can include them on this campaign or on a future campaign. So if you've got another 10 or 15 customers that you know would give you a good review, go ahead and include them, send them over to Ginger, and she will get them included on your email campaign. So, good question came through. How will we be able to respond to the reviews, and will we know where they are posted? The short answer to that is if you are doing the reputation monitoring program through Chair10, which this program, the whole automated emails out to your promoters, all that sort of stuff, that's all corporately paid for, but it's really designed to work hand in hand with the reputation monitoring program through Chair10. The reputation monitoring program is then listening to any of the reviews that are coming through, good or bad, and the folks at Chair10 are crafting a response for any good or bad reviews on your behalf. They're checking in with you, obviously, before they post it. Obviously, on a negative review, they need collaboration from you to have some intel about the job. They're also going to take any of the good reviews that come through and syndicate those to your Facebook page and to your Google Plus page if it happens that the review is not posted there. So that's kind of the way this is supposed to work, is that you've got the listening service going. We're trying to push through good reviews, and when those good reviews come through, you know about it pretty quickly because the folks over at Chair10 are listening on your behalf. Our big challenge in the world of reviews is, again, on top of the fact that it's a significant ask to get a customer to go to a third-party website and place a review, sign up for an account for Google and all that. It's also just the simple fact that even our bigger businesses, we're not like a handyman service or something where we're doing 50 jobs a week. We've got a pretty finite number of customers that we work with, and so we really need to find a way to get a strong percentage of those customers to place a good review for us online. And if we do, it's going to pay some really massive dividends over time. So this is just one step in that direction, trying to get you guys plugged into the program, trying to get you to understand the value of just talking to the customer and getting them to look out for this email, follow the instructions, and place a positive review on your site. And if nothing else, the other kind of cool thing that will come from this for you is that email that you receive, the test email. If you don't happen to have them, these are the links to your Google Plus page, your Super Pages account, your House page, your Angie's List. The customer actually has to call, so that one's a little trickier. Yelp is also a tricky one because if Yelp denotes or realizes that you've tried to solicit a review, they will absolutely block it. So the Yelp instructions are a little bit more tricky. But feel free to take this section of this email and right here, copy it and send it out to some other folks that you know, that you feel like you could get a good review from. All right, so that was just kind of a little housekeeper item. Again, we're making some real good headway on reviews, but I really think that if we get a bit of a concerted effort around it, we talk to the customers about it, we can really move the ball forward and become. We're already, you know, the flooring company in 99% of markets with the best Net Promoter Scores, I'm sure. So there's absolutely no reason we shouldn't be the best reviewed company in most markets as well. All right, and that's all I had for today. I don't know if any of the ops folks have anything they want to cover in closing.
I'm good.
All right.
Looking forward to working with everybody to get those reviews up.
Good deal. All right, folks. Again, thanks as always, and look out for that that email on the reviews, and also look out for your marketing report card. Get your date scheduled with Eric to review it, and you can certainly even reach out now to get your review scheduled. You don't have to wait for the report card to come out. Any date after next Tuesday that he's available should be just fine. All right. Well, thanks, folks, and we'll talk to you again.
Thanks, Ryan.